On this week's episode of Bayou Wild TV, an upland bird hunter enjoys her inaugural South Louisiana teal season.
Biggest difference for me was the speed of the bird flying. It was definitely the fastest bird I've ever seen fly.
While a lifetime of hunting prowess showcases a true passion for the outdoors.
When I was a little kid, my grandfather called me Quank because I'd walk around all the time with a duck call.
Plus, Louisiana's authority in Cajun and Creole cooking prepares a masterful recipe passed down from a fellow outdoorsman.
I stole the recipe and I never mentioned his name again.
We're celebrating adventure, sportsmanship, and heritage with some wonderful waterfowl. Closed captioning made possible by Explore Kayak Adventure Company. Fishing, sightseeing to photography tours, everything to make your paddling adventure happen. See Explore Kayak Adventure Company on Facebook and Instagram.
Every day, we strive to preserve traditions that have spanned generations.
Around every turn of the bayou, Mother Nature reveals unique people, places, and experiences.
And the bounty of animals and fish. Well, in Louisiana, we just call that lagniappe. I'm Don Dubuque.
I'm Chris LeCoq.
I'm Captain Martha Spencer. Join us as we document the adventure,
Sportsmanship,
and heritage that make us Bayou Wild.
We're down here at Cajun Fishing Adventures. It is opening weekend of teal season, and we are bringing a newbie out to the marsh.
What it actually reminded me of was going fly fishing for the first time in the Everglades, like seeing how thick and deep everything is, and you don't know what's around the next corner, you don't know how thin the canal is going to be, you don't really know what's around the next corner, so that part was really fun.
If you ever come hunting with Ryan Lambert and his crew, you will notice that it is a well-oiled machine most of the time. It really takes people that know what they're doing, and you definitely feel safe with them, but we were fortunate today that the weather was very comfortable for our ride out. Nobody got rained on, nobody got cold, so it's a bit of an adventure. You have to get up a little earlier than you think you do when you're on a location. Most places with an outfitter might send you out later, but to get to breakfast on time, get in one boat, get to another boat, and then get set up, it does take some time.
You know, it's that time of year. It's time for teal season. Everybody excitement is crazy. People are buzzing. So for us, it's time to go to work and build blinds, get the boats ready. And we've been working on boats for months, making sure everything's perfect. So we're ready. It's time to get it.
Boom!
Did I hit mine?
Teal season is probably something I look forward to more than a lot of styles of hunting. So I love being out in the marsh kind of in the fall. Teal season's a little challenging just for the bird identification, but I think since we haven't really seen a push of much other birds, it wasn't too hard.
The reason we have early teal season is they migrate first. They're coming off the prairies up north, and they're going all the way down to Belize. They're going to South America and all the way through Nicaragua, Honduras, Mexico. So they just pass it through. They're not staying. The majority of them don't stay. Make hay while the sun shines. It's such a great opener. Everybody's so intense trying to get ready, and no one utilizes the teal season like South Louisiana. South Louisiana folks love teal hunting. Started the season yesterday. We killed 130 birds. Today we got a storm coming in. It's blowing 35 out the northwest, and they're not going to stop in the decoys in deep water either. They know they can't feed, so you have to either set up on dry ground in the duck potatoes, or just shoot passing by birds. That's your two choices.
Each bird does fly differently. I think by the end of the morning, I was figuring it out. The teal, their wings are constantly flapping, and they're super fast.
Shooting!
The model duck, they're just so much bigger in the air, and then the other birds I learned today glide.
I most enjoyed taking my friend hunting because she's shown me her style of hunting upland, which I really had never done before, and it was cool to introduce her to a different style of bird hunting. Dead bird!
It's so different though, like having the dog stay next to you instead of having to watch what they're doing. So it was kind of nice to not have to worry about where the dog was while I was shooting. Because you can kind of pick a mark with a quail or upland, like you've got the tree, you're like, okay, I know how long it's gonna take before it gets to that tree, so I know how much time I have. I couldn't really tell how much time I had, and I definitely was way behind the teal. I did not lead nearly far enough in front of them.
I get a lot of rookie hunters, but that's how you start. And the best way to start is to start with a guide. Someone that can identify the birds for you, tell you what you can and cannot shoot, tell you how to shoot and where to shoot, what to look for when they're coming in, if they're getting it over the decoys. It all plays into it. I mean, I like rookie hunters. That's just inviting somebody else into the industry or into the sport of duck hunting. And the more people we have, the better off we all are.
I would like to try a slower flying duck so I could maybe hit some more, but I would like to try again because it was a lot of fun.
Our marsh habitat is so rich. I mean, it holds millions and millions of birds that winter here. So it's just an enjoyable place to hunt. It's just so enjoyable this time of year especially because the marsh is so lush. You can smell the growth out there. And I love going out and sitting, especially a nice, cool, windy day like today. Wow, that was enjoyable. No bugs. Everybody says, I don't want to teal hunt, they got bugs. There was not one single bug bit one of us today.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook. 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
You're watching Bayou Wild TV, award-winning outdoor programming. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or visit the website BayouWildTV.com to watch past episodes. Now that we've whet your appetite for the upcoming waterfowl season, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine who is an extremely passionate waterfowler named P.J. Demarie.
I've been hunting since I was 6 years old, and I developed a passion for spending time with family, and that's really when you got to spend the best time with your dad and your uncles, when they weren't occupied with work and they weren't occupied with other things. They're out at the camp, and you learned how to do projects, and you built blinds, and so those things. It was that I think what ignited that passion. But I mean, when I was a little kid, my grandfather called me Quank, because I'd walk around all the time with a duck call and blow on it. And so I guess I always loved duck hunting. But in the 80s, somewhere in the 80s, I walked into a taxidermy shop in Mandeville with a taxidermist named David Luke. And I saw a studio full of the most exotic birds from all over the world. And I said, Dave, I want to do this. I want to get every North American waterfowl.
PJ would spend the next few decades traveling across North America in his search for every waterfowl species on the continent, many times accompanied by his better half.
To get the black brant, we went to Obregon, Mexico, and they're very strict on 2 brant per person, right? And so as they split to her side of the blind. And she fires twice. I said, you better shoot. She fires twice, kills all 4. We're done. So that memory is gonna always be awesome. She doesn't let me forget that she got the black brant.
What's the furthest you've gone to collect one of these birds?
Well, I think Patagonia is probably distance-wise the furthest, but the most difficult was Kodiak, Alaska, Kodiak Island, Alaska, right? So if you look at, this is the Harlequin, the Old Squaw, the Scoters, the Goldeneye, the American Goldeneye, and the Barrow's Goldeneye. Those are all, and the Stellar's Eider, those are all the Alaskan ducks. And then, of course, there are 2 species that we all got there. There are 3 species of mergansers in North America. So you've got the American merganser, the red-breasted merganser, and then the hooded merganser, which I have under glass.
This impressive accumulation of waterfowl represents the dedication a hunter has to the sport. Each bird of the collection holds its own unique story. What was the first bird you put in your collection, and what's been the last?
The first bird was a greenhead mallard that was killed when I was in high school. That really wasn't part of the collection. It was just a greenhead mallard because I killed it in Gust Island, and I didn't have enough money to hunt in the real first-class lease at Gust Island. So as a young man, the guys that had the lease didn't want to walk in the swamp, and all that Marquesa swamp on the west side of Lake Pontchartrain was full of mallards, thousands. I killed that big greenhead mallard, and that's the bird that was the first bird that I mounted.
Show me the most difficult bird, not necessarily to find, but what's the smartest bird out here? The one, I mean, it might be something we shoot in Louisiana. Something tells me it might be.
It is.
So which one?
It is.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Do you think it's a teal?
No.
Okay. Wood duck?
No, the speckled-belly goose.
Okay. What makes the speckled-belly goose the most difficult bird to shoot?
Well, a speckled-belly is I would make the analogy of speckled-belly hunting to turkey hunting.
Okay.
Right?
They're smart.
They're smart. They're really smart. You have to be well hidden. You have to be a very good caller. As they get older, they molt and they get more speckles on their breast. So kind of like a 10-point buck or a 12-point buck, the more speckles they have on their breast, then the more mature that bird is. I've got another goose here that is a cross between a Canada goose and a speckled-belly goose. And then I have another goose that is a speckled-belly that had brain damage when it was very young. We don't know how young, but it created a white spot on top of his head where the feathers came out, and it became a white tuft on the top of his head. And that goose never formed the stripes and bars that a normal white-fronted speckled-belly goose does. Probably the most unique bird in this whole collection was killed south of the border in Mexico. It's a pheasant that is a half male, half female. It is colored both male and female, right? And so a naturally occurring hermaphrodite.
Now, this is going through a lot of people's minds, so I'm going to ask you this question, and maybe you don't want to answer it because maybe you don't want Teresa to know, but what do you think you've got invested to
a lifetime.
Accumulate this?
A lifetime. You can't put a dollar amount on it because there's no way to determine that. It's a lifetime. You know, if you break it down to 44 years and you break it down to a duck a year or 2 ducks a year, it's a lifetime. There's no value to it. It is a lifetime. And you know, I'm sure Dave Luke appreciates my friendship with him, and I have helped feed his family for many years. But I got to tell you, I would do it again tomorrow if I had that opportunity to start over. So the Peking duck is the most exotic duck that looks the most exotic. This is the same bird as a wood duck. When you compare them side by side, it's just a wood duck that's more ornate. And it really was unique to see this. And of course they survive like a wood duck. Right. And the family that raised these, that I was able to, I think that's where this bird came from the Mandeville area. They've escaped. And you see them around Audubon Zoo all the time.
Who was your biggest help besides Dave to accomplish this? Your biggest support or your biggest?
My wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was part of this, and I laugh all the time. She rolls her eyes when I say that she was a part of all this happening because she's only killed like 4 of the birds in the room. Okay, right. But she raised the kids. She took care of the house. She allowed me to go do all this. She never discouraged me. She stayed behind me, and came many times to the camp and was part of the environment.
So, what is the future of this legacy? What's going to happen to these birds when PJ's gone to hunt on the great beyond? What happens to this collection?
So that's a great question, and it's being debated in the home. You know, it's like one of those strange inheritances. It's been toyed around to create an exhibit at the Audubon Zoo and actually put it in an exhibit. And I've allocated some dollars in my life insurance policies to do that. One of my sons has expressed an interest of creating a museum and putting them in, but we're still haven't figured that out yet. But if the hammer dropped tomorrow, I think the possibility of it going to the Audubon Zoo, you know, that's my wishes. But it'd be a strange inheritance. What do you do with this?
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane can do that. When you are cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. Fuel for our future. I'm Miss Louisiana Courtney Hammonds. For more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Chef, you know, the teal duck is a real popular duck. It finds its ways to a lot of hunters' bags in Louisiana. Tell us about the Chip Villon recipe.
Well, you know, that was a really surprising recipe because Chip Villon he runs a drugstore in White Castle. He was going to be a doctor, I think, and became a druggist, took on a very famous drugstore there. But I met him at a hunting camp, Buckley Kessler's camp. You know Buckley Kessler. And he came up with this beautiful concoction of onion, celery, bell pepper, garlic, ground up andouille sausage, but just minced and put into that feeding tube injector. And then he cut right under the rib cage at the backbone and went all the way down to the breastbone and opened up that whole pocket on that teal duck and filled it up, and it just blew the bird up with all of that smoke and flavor. Oh yeah, you feel it. Oh, you got okay. Look, it blew that breast up right there. That's Dolly Parton right there. You just keep on going.
All right, Dolly, here you go.
Okay, no, that's good. And the other one is already done. So I'll put a little bit of the Creole seasonings on it. I'll put a little bit of flour, and I'll throw this fire on high here right there. Okay? Just get that done. Now I'm gonna just kind of always put a little flour on it like that. And again, you can put more of your own. So when you went to saute it, it browned nicely, and of course the seasoning started to come out with the heat. Breast side down, right in the bottom of that cast iron, just to go ahead and brown that duck beautifully like that. And then I'm gonna add more seasonings and a little bit of that stock that I made with some bones of a game. That's a game stock. And I'll just cover the ducks right up until I see the backbone, 375-degree oven, and we'll look at them in a minute.
Press down, right?
Press down, always press down to brown them and press down to roast. But when we went into pot roasting, after we had browned them and seasoned them, that flavor inside that bird was not only incredible, but the residue that came out from all of those flavors into the stew was incredible.
Did you offer him a job?
I didn't offer him a job. I stole the recipe, and I never mentioned his name again. Chip Villon, no, he's a really close friend of mine. Yeah, great cook.
And where can we find that? We got to go to Chip, or you got it?
No, I have it in my After the Hunt cookbook, and I have it in just a couple of my cookbooks because there's real. But I did give him credit. Chip Villon's stuffed teal duck.
Stolen by Chef John Folse.
Absolutely, and made better. It's a great recipe. Thank you, Chip.
Add the taste of Louisiana to your next meal. If you like creamy, bold, tangy, or spicy, bring home the taste of Louisiana with sauces from Louisiana fish fry products.
If you're lucky enough to bag a deer or a hog this season, bring it here to Double D. Double D processes hogs and exotic game and guarantees your product is always the meat you brought to Double D.
Double D Meats in Bogalusa, home of country smoked, spicy jalapeno cheddar, and other customized flavors.
Bring your deer or your hog here to Double D, where you always get your meat back in return. It's worth a drive to Bogalusa from anywhere. Double D. In Louisiana, the September teal season is just an appetizer to a longer, cooler winter duck season.
You know, I think the biggest thing they see is the variety of ducks that we kill. We'll kill 15 different varieties. I mean, everything's here. We don't get mallards like we used to. We hunt on the east side of the river because that's where we still have influx from the Mississippi River, which grows a lot of aquatic vegetation, a lot of duck potatoes, cattails. That marsh is growing versus where it's cut off from the river on the west side. It's all dying. So it's just night and day. You go over there, it's like a tropical forest this time of year.
We look forward to more hunts in the South Louisiana marsh, where next time we'll learn what it takes to maintain healthy feeding grounds for wintering waterfowl.
Just to be noticed that I'm doing the work. But the reason I do it is so that those first-time hunters like Laney, after I'm dead and gone, I'm building more habitat, I'm building land, I'm building marsh. And, you know, after guiding for 43 years and watching it dissipate every single year, to find a way and learn to make it grow because I watched it and I learned how Mother Nature did it.
It's really nice to go out and enjoy the marsh and kind of soak it all in. I think that every duck hunter appreciates the beauty of it down here.
It's beautiful because instead of staring at the water this time, I could actually look around. It's really different when you're staring at the water trying to sight fish, and now I could actually kind of take a break and look around and appreciate the scenery more.
Yeah, the secret is this, we have pre-existing diversions and that's what makes it, but being recognized for what I've been doing is very humbling.
Conservation is the key to preserving the adventure, sportsmanship, and heritage of our Bayou Wild home.